Welcome back. The government and the opposition seeing eye to eye on at least one issue. Representatives from the two sides recently met and agreed to enhance cooperation and consultation to address the challenges faced in the financial services industry caused by the increasing demands of international organizations. Both sides committed to working together to do all that's necessary to limit reputational damage to the Bahamas and to ensure the preservation of a vital sector. The decision to unite on the issue follows Opposition Deputy Leader Chester Cooper throwing out an invitation to work with the government to help save the financial sector. Meantime, former Trade and Industry Minister Leslie Miller weighing in on the government's decision to introduce liquefied natural gas or LNG to the Bahamas, a move he's been pushing for years. Appearing as a guest on Love 97's afternoon talk show On Point with host Wendell Jones, Miller explains why the deal fell through.
We had a 20-year contract with AES. That contract called for the people of the Bahamas to receive $1.2 billion in revenues over 20 years. In addition to that, they were going to retrofit 65% of BEC's apparatus at Clifton to enable us to use LNG. They were also getting a tug, which is now used in Haiti, to assist us with getting the LNG from the Key to bring here to New Providence. Right? We had it made. They were also going to put in $250,000 every year into BTVI. I mean, this is the thing. Now, 100 houses in North Bimini, and the average salary at that plant is going to be $40,000 a year and above.
Exactly.
And the government, which I was a part of, the former Prime Minister allowed one or two people of color in this country to just scuttle the whole thing because they went on the internet and came with a bunch of garbage of what was supposed to blow up the loss of life and everything else, and all this was just lies after lies after lies. But because of their color, the Bahamian people bought into it. And that program, we will never see the likes of that again as long as we live.
For years, Miller pushed for liquefied natural gas or LNG to be introduced in the Bahamas, at the time touting the millions of dollars in revenue the Bahamas could pull in. 3 companies had even submitted preliminary proposals. And recently, Bahamas Power and Light executives revealed that it has signed a memorandum of understanding with Shell North America said to help reduce the cost of power bills and reduce power outages. Last week, BPL Chairman Donovan Moxey told reporters that the move marks the culmination of efforts over the years to improve the reliability of electricity here in New Providence. There's also the renewed promise of a decrease in power costs, a long-standing vexing issue for its consumers. BPL's partnership with Shell North America is also expected to lead to little to no blackouts. Now, according to BPL CEO Whitney Hasty, that new power plant will use liquefied natural gas, which he says has no greater risk than fuels used every day like gasoline and diesel. But it does, he said, provide a number of advantages. Now, Shell North America will construct a new gas-fired power plant in the Clifton Pier area. The completion date is 2020. As for the BPL's deal with Shell, Mr. Miller several months ago said it was bad for the country. In other news, CARICOM's call for marijuana to be decriminalized will certainly be given due consideration in local discussions, so much so that it'll form the basis, but Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands insists what's taking place in countries like Canada will also be taken into account.
The need to be careful with public policy, I think, trumps the desire to rush in simply to make sure, as you believe, that you are getting left behind. Wise men tread carefully where fools rush in. And so, given the fact that this is complex, this involves societal norms, it involves the economy, it involves the legislature, it involves the courts, it involves agriculture, it involves pharmacy, it involves medicine, it involves so many different things that we would like to have a measured, considered approach. The world isn't going anywhere. Marijuana's been around for thousands of years. Why would 2 days or 3 days make a difference?
The minister recently met with the 2 chairs of the 25-member marijuana committee, a discussion that he says went well.
There's a lot of discussion about what should happen, what should have happened. Or we're behind the 8 ball, or we're moving too fast, or we can make a lot of money, and so on and so forth. I think it's important for this committee to take a balanced, objective approach and come up with a plan and an approach that works for the people of the Bahamas. Full stop.
Now, there are a few committee members who have yet to accept their appointments, and according to the minister, a few others whereby the government wants to ensure the right process was followed.
For instance, the representatives from various stakeholder groups requires the input of the leadership of those organizations. And so while the majority of persons have been impaneled, not every single person has yet been impaneled.
As for a timeline, the minister says as long as it takes. Well, the meeting the Public Hospitals Authority hoped to have with the Bahamas Nurses Union today did not happen. In fact, President of the Bahamas Nurses Union, Amanda Williams, tells our news team that she had no knowledge of the follow-up meeting's deadline and will not be bullied while at the negotiation table.
The only thing that we acknowledge that when we left from the drawing board table, which was on Friday, that we were going to call them on Friday to let them know when we were going to send a letter in. That's it. Nothing else, darling. Now, if they sent me an email, nothing else we agreed upon. It's what we left from the table, that the obligation that BNU needed to meet, we met that. I called Ms. Reich that I agreed, and I will send her a letter on Monday, and I sent her that. Anything else? Nothing else.
The Public Hospitals Authority released a statement this past Thursday giving the BNU until last Friday to submit any objections they may have with the new shift system. Ms. Williams says the union set to have a meeting with the Department of Labor this Friday at 11 a.m. Our news team also reached out to the PHA for a response. However, they were unable to respond up to press time. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.